Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight I want to talk to you about an item that's covered in CTAS. You remember them, wheel tax, CTAS? And this is out, what I'm going to talk to you about is out of our own handbook. So we don't have to run to them for see what the CTAS thinks. Last year it was the wheel tax fiasco. Still no Attorney General opinion and maybe won't get one. The law is very clear. 2/3 supermajority approval, 2 consecutive meetings, and publicly noticed. The Attorney General may not want to jump into this briar patch. We have pending before us a 25% tax increase in addition to the 13.1% increase last year. Sum total, 40% in less than a year. Get real, 40%? As I said last year, it was the wheel tax. This year, it's another major problem called conflict of interest. If you'll look at your handout on page 111, a conflict of interest exists if a county officer or employee is required to supervise or vote on a contract which he or she has some kind of investment or concern. Turn to the next page, first paragraph. The general rule is that a direct conflict is prohibited, while an indirect conflict is permitted if it is publicly disclosed. After disclosure, the official is not required to abstain from voting on the matter, but may do so. The exception. A special rule exists in the case of a county commissioner who is also an employee of the county. A conflict of interest can come up in this situation anytime the county commission votes on appropriations or budgets. A statutory exception allows a member of the legislative body to vote on these matters if that employee was employed by the county before becoming a member of the county commission. I think we have 2 in that category. But immediately before the commissioner must read the following disclaimer, which is set out in Tennessee Code. And by the way, this is not being followed. People are declaring a conflict of interest, but they're not reading that statement. That statement is required to be read, or your vote is void if it is challenged. The vote of any member who is required to make this disclosure and does not do so is void if it is challenged in a timely manner. That means during the meeting at which the vote was cast and prior to the transaction of any further business. A legislative body member who is also an employee and whose employment began on or after the date which the member was initially selected as a member of the governing body may not vote on matters in which the member has a conflict of interest. That's also laid out in Tennessee Code. There is a general conflict of interest rule, but there are exceptions to it. Here's the kicker. Officials are held to a more stringent standard of conduct referred to as the strict rule. Under this standard, both direct and indirect conflicts of interest are prohibited. There are several statutes in Tennessee Code that prescribe the strict rule. The one that applies to you is the second provision, and it's found in the County Financial Management System of 1981, and it's very clear. It applies to any county which has adopted and essentially holds all county officials and employees to the strict rules. Go to the next page, second paragraph. Conflict of interest issues arise frequently in county government. and each factual situation should be considered on an individual basis. However, as a general rule, a county official, this is placed on you, should determine who has decision-making authority on a matter and may derive a direct or indirect benefit from the decision. A conflict may exist if that benefited person is a part of the decision-making process. To violate that rule, the penalties for violating conflict of interest rules may be severe. In light of these severe penalties, the safest course of action is to err on the side of caution. If in doubt regarding these issues, check with your county attorney. I copied the conflict of interest rule out of the 1981 Act. And it says, in part, not be financially interested nor have any personal beneficial interest, either directly or indirectly. What that to me means is if you have an indirect or direct interest in the budget, you may not vote on the budget. I am officially informing the mayor, commission, and county attorney that I shall challenge the vote of anyone that has a direct or indirect conflict of interest in voting for or against. My challenge would be neutral. If you vote for or against the budget, you have a conflict of interest, I shall challenge it for the 2015-16 county budget. I do this on behalf of the good citizens of Campbell County. It is very evident to me that the state, when they formed these counties and these laws, it was intended that employees not be in charge of the legislative body of the county. And that's why they laid these rules on, that they didn't want them controlling the budget, because there is an inherent interest there. In the event that I am incapacitated, either sick, absent, or 6 feet under, I appoint Jerry Chadwell to carry out this task. And if he's absent, I'm sure someone will take his place. May God bless America, the good people of Campbell County. And let's not forget, when we're passing this tax increase, if it passes, the former employees of A&S Steel that are jobless.
I have a question for you.
Any questions?
I do. What if I vote no on the budget?
I shall challenge it.
Either way?
Yes.
My wife,
You're not allowed to vote.
either way.
Not according to what I read. I shall challenge it either way. That's in fairness. I don't think if you're enforcing the law that you can cherry pick it. We have a number that maybe they're not employed in the company, but we do business with the company. I shall challenge it.
My wife works in the security boxes that goes through. That's all she does. So, tell me, where's my conflict?
Mr. Coker, thank you on that. It's spelled out in statute what's a direct conflict.
Well,
or
that's what I
indirect
want to know, if
conflict.
I've got a conflict or direct conflict.
It's pretty well laid out in what I gave you. If you have any interest in the budget, because it also states in here who can't vote, and it lays it out pretty clear. If you're hired after you're elected, you can't vote on the budget because you got an interest.
I've been here 8 months and she's worked there 8 years, so she's there 4 hours.
But you still have a conflict, in my opinion, an indirect conflict of interest. Under the old law, unless you come under the 81 Act, you can vote, but the 81 Act forbids specifically direct and indirect conflicts of interest.
So you're saying I shouldn't vote either way on something? I'm asking, you're bringing it up. I want to make sure I'm good.
My interpretation of this is, and to me it's very, it's in black and white, and it's laid out in the C-test. If you have a direct or indirect conflict of interest, you cannot vote. That's my interpretation.
my understanding was, if you, like you said a while ago, read the paragraph off before I vote.
I will say that if your wife is employed by the school system, I will challenge you.
Okay, that's good. I have no problem with that. That's right. That's good. I'll vote that way. Just take that word. Commissioner Goins?
Yes, is this up to date?
Sure. I'm sure you got it when you went to your commissioner's workshop in May.
It's not the current copy is what he's talking about, it's 2010.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
This
This
is
is 2010.
2015.
2010, 2014, 15.
All of you should have a copy of it. Maybe we'll do that. You got a copy of
It's
it?
true, but it's not the current year, this one's not.
I don't think they publish one every year. It's 300 and some pages. I was gonna make a copy myself, but take two and a half, take a ream and a half paper.
Thank
Any questions? Can I bring up one more subject? That's a good subject. How many of you have not spent your discretionary money? All of it's gone. All the discretionary money's gone.
I think we got one done.
How much is left?
I had to check each account.
Well, I was gonna challenge you to a donation.
We were just working on that
Out here,
already.
as chairman
Mr.
of the
Slusher,
Board of
we did get
Education.
some money from a couple of folks.
You did?
This 25% increase does not include one penny from school board, except that makeup money, equity money. Our employees have not had a pay raise for 8 years. That's not in that 25%. What are you gonna do? You continue to ignore these employees. You continue. And I don't buy this business with their lady, they've got a job. Listen, they give fire services, they're entitled to be paid for their services. Please,